We have alpha to eta. What questions do we want to look at on these? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Well, the coming day is, for all intents and purposes, any day that is ahead of today, right? So if in the context the day you're talking about is the one that's coming after the sun comes up, then that would be the next day. But in a different context, it could be some future day beyond tomorrow. So I know what I don't know is whether in Greek today it's an idiom to call the coming day the next day or not. That may be true. I don't know. I don't know. But if I were assessing you, I would have taken your answer. And this dative is really just giving you a location and time, so it could be in the coming day or on the coming day. Either of those would be, decent translations there. If we can just talk a minute about this erchamene form, okay? The te chimera, those match case, gender, and number, don't they? So dative, singular, feminine. So we know it's on the day. Preceding the day, but with the article, is this participle. So which participle use is this of the three we talked about the other day? Is it attributive, predicative, or substantival? It's attributive. Okay, it's an attributive position. Which attributive position is it in? It's after the article, but before the noun, so it's first attributive position, right? So whatever the day is, it's being described by this kind of a day. It's a coming day, or in this case, the coming day. What's another way to translate it if I don't put the ing form in front of the noun in English? In other words, if I said the day, then I use a relative clause, which is coming. Or it could be the day which was coming, depending on my context, right? Anything else here? Look at number 1. Hadzon pater. Hadzon pater. What verb is zone from? It's from zao. What does zao mean? Yeah, to live. To live. Look at zone here. You have that own form. You might be tempted to think that's a genitive plural form, but remember, some of our participles actually end with own, don't they? Which ones do that? Yes, own, ontos, right? That's nominative singular masculine. If it has the new tau, so this would be a masculine form, right? It's going to be masculine and active. Okay, so is this the present active participle, nominative masculine singular, or the aorist active participle, nominative masculine singular? This is the present. The verb is zao, but when I take the za present stem and add the omicron and then the new tau, what happens here? The alpha and omicron will contract to omega, right? So this is where that form comes from. This is due to contraction. So I don't see the alpha of the za stem. But this is present. Aorist, I would have the sigma alpha because edzesa is the first aorist active indicative. Edzesa. So how am I going to translate this? Hadzon pater. The living father. Okay? Because it's present active indicative present active participle. I'm going to use the ing form, the living father. Or the father who lives. Or the father who is living. Okay? And by the way, what kind of adjective, the verbal adjective is this? Attributive, predicate, or substantival? It's attributive. Again, has the article in front of it, and it is in the first attributive position. Okay? Question? It would probably be best to render it with a relative clause, and given the context, it would probably be a pastime form because it would be portraying the action as complete, right? So if it would be something like, the man who lived in New York did something, and I'm portraying the living as just a complete, total action and not focusing on its ongoing nature as I describe that person. So, all right. Let's just look at a couple more of these real quickly here. Look at beta. I have to patri, to pempsanti hemas. So what does to patri mean? Yeah, so this is the father. What case? Dative and singular, right? So it's to the father. Now look at what I have. I have to again, to, and pempsanti. So this is an attributive position as well, isn't it? Which attributive position is this? It's second. Noun first, participle second. Does it match the dative case? Yep, you've got the iota here, right? Just like you've got it here, third declension. Nu tau. So is this active or middle passive? That's an active participle. Good. And then look at the front part of this. I have pempsa nti. So is this present or middle? I'm sorry, present or aorist? It's aorist. Very good. So it's an aorist active participle. Dative singular masculine. So to the father, the what? To the father, the one who sent me. Okay. How would you make that good English? Or it's not, it sent us, right? Yeah. So to the father who sent us. To the father who sent us. All right. Now look at gamma. We have decatai, which means what? Yes, he receives. Decatai. Decamai, I receive. So think decadent things. I receive decadent chocolate cake, for example, right? So decatai, he receives. Now, ton apastelantame. Is this the subject of decatai? No. Why not? What case would my subject be? The subject would be nominative, and this is accusative, given that ton apostelanta, right? So this is not going to be the subject, but the direct object. Now, what is the lexical form of apostelanta? It's from what verb? Apostello. Okay? Now take a close look at apostello. Compare that to apostellanta. Is this the present stem? No, it is not. It's missing the double lambda. The epsilon has morphed into an epsilon iota. There's been lengthening here, right? So this isn't the present participle. It must be an aorist participle, right? Is it active or middle passive? Look at your nu tau. That's active, right? So it's an aorist active participle. It's not middle. If it were passive, I might have the nu tau, but what would come before it? The theta epsilon, right? Or just the epsilon by itself. And actually, as it turns out, the word apostello uses a second aorist passive form for its aorist passive. Anyhow, but this is the active. But wait a minute. Where's my sigma alpha? ¿Qué pasa? That's right. This is a liquid. Lambda's a liquid, so it would have been lambda sigma alpha, but liquids don't take the sigma there, right? What's that? Right. So that sigma falls out, okay? But this is an aorist active participle. And the case here matches ton. It's accusative singular masculine. So he receives whom? The The one who sent me. The one who sent me. So which use of the participle is this if there's an article in front of it? Could it be adverbial? No. Remember, adverbial participles have to be anarthrous. So if you've got an article in front of it, it's adjectival. And then you've got your three choices. Is there a noun that this accompanies and agrees with in case, gender, and number? No. So it is functioning as the noun then, which means it's substantival. Okay? This is a substantival participle. It's functioning like a noun. He receives the participial direct object. He receives the sent me one. Okay? Or the one who sent me. All right. Does that make sense? Okay. Look at epsilon here real quickly. We have peri tu rematas tu lalethentas. What's peri mean when there's a genitive object of the preposition? Yes, about or concerning. Peri plus the accusative object of the preposition is where we get perimeter from, around, right? So this is about or concerning. Tu rematas is, it's, the saying or the word, okay? So about the word or saying. And then I have tu lalethentas. Is this a noun, an adjective, or participle? That's a participle. You see the new tau? Does that make this an active participle? Not necessarily. If it's aorist passive, it could have the new tau. And what do you see here? Theta epsilon. That is an aorist, not active, but passive participle, right? Great. What case gender number is it? Os. Genitive, singular, and it could be masculine or neuter. Now look at tu rematas. Who remembers what gender rema is? Yes, look at this. Rema. That looks feminine, doesn't it? Guess what? This is a mot noun where the tav has fallen off. Remember? Soma, somat. Pneuma is pneumat. These mot nouns are what gender? They're neuter. Remember our neuter mot nouns. This is neuter, which is why it can be feminine because tu is the article that governs it, right? So that's not a feminine article. So this is genitive, singular, and neuter. So guess what? Lalethentas must be genitive, singular, and neuter. Okay? And it follows the noun, agrees with it in case, gender, number, and is articular. So which kind of participle is this? Adjectival or adverbial? It's adjectival. And which adjectival use is it? It's attributive. So it's concerning the what? What's laleo mean in the active voice? Laleo is to speak, but this is passive, so it's concerning the spoken word or saying. Or if you want to use a relative clause, concerning the saying which was spoken. Okay? So you could do it either way. For Ada under the warm-ups, let's look at this. Let's say it together, everybody. Theon, tangenesantase. All right, good. Now, what case is theon? Accusative. Normally, the lexical form is theos, and I've got a new here. So, probably a direct object. Somebody did something to theon. Now, look what I have here next. I have tan genesantase. What type of a form is genesanta? That's a participle. You see the new tau here? That should commit you to a participial Analysis. You see the sa there. What kind of participle is that? It's an aorist participle. All right. And if it's nutal, it's active. Could be middle with that sa, but nutal makes it active, right? So aorist active participle. Alpha on the end. I have ton in front of the form. Articles are your friend, aren't they? So sometimes when you forget your case endings, the article can help you. What case gender number is the article ton? It is accusative singular, but it's going to be masculine, right? The ha, hey, there's my ta, neuter form, right? So ton, masculine. And then over here, then, this alpha is very likely going to be accusative, singular, masculine to match, right? All right, good. Now, what cases say? It's accusative and singular. Which pronoun is this? It's you, so that's second person, right? So why is it accusative? Not how do you know it's accusative, but why do you think it's accusative? Well, let's look at Ganesanta. We didn't specify what is the lexical form of Ganesanta, and what does Ganao mean? To produce, give birth to, bear. Is that a verb that you would expect a direct object with? You would. And might this be accusative because it's the direct object? So, the bearing you, or the having borne you. Now, what do I do with that? Is this participle adverbial or adjectival? So my first choice is it's got to be adjectival because it's got the article, right? Articular participles are never adverbial, have to be adjectival. But between or among the choices, my adjectival participles could be attributive, predicate uses, and substantival uses, right? Which one is it here? We don't have enough context to be 100% clear on this, but I would guess that this is something like maybe the main verb is know. To know God, the having given birth to you, one. That is to say, this might be a substantival use if you construe this as being in apposition to the noun God in the accusative case. Appositional structures are beside the noun that they stand in apposition to. They rename the noun, and they'll always share the same case as the noun that they follow. I could say something like, I love Richard, my brother. What case would Richard be in Greek? I love Richard. Accusative. And then what case would the appositive, my brother, be in? It would be accusative as well. Okay? So that's probably what we're looking at here. God, the one who sent, not sent, the one who gave birth to you. Okay? Any questions about this? All right. Others in the warm-ups? For Delta, let's read this together. Everybody, to ek nekron, egerthenti. All right. Now, you see the toe here. What case is that? Dative, and is it singular or plural? Dative singular. And its gender would be, could be masculine or neuter, right? Toe. Now, let's look over down the line here, and we'll come back to eknekron in a minute. Egerthenti. Egerthenti. What case do you think this is here on the back? It's dative singular, isn't it? You see that new tau? That's going to create a third declension pattern. Iotas are dative singular, right? With the new tau, it must be masculine or neuter as well, right? All right, now look at the the in front of new tau. What's that? That's a tense formative. Which one is it? It's aorist passive, and we're looking at a participle here, right? So what is agero? The lexical form's agero. What does it mean? To raise. If it's passive, it's to be raised. To be raised. Now, here's the deal. Sandwich in between the article to and the participle with which it agrees is a prepositional phrase. And this prepositional phrase is adverbial, modifying this raising concept. Raising or being raised. Eknekron, what's that? From the dead. Okay? Now, I'm pointing that out because this prepositional phrase doesn't have to go here. It could also go after egerthenti, right? To egerthenti eknekron. It's been put before here probably for the purpose of emphasis, but what I want you to see is that the participle is articular. And if it's articular, it must be what? Adjectival or adverbial? It's got to be an adjectival participle. Okay? It's got to be adjectival. And among the adjectival uses, notice that the one that makes the most sense here is the one where it's substantival, because substantival adjectives do not have an accompanying noun that they agree with in case, gender, and number. The participle and the substantival adjective functions as the noun. It's doing the work of a noun. So this might be like an indirect object. So maybe the idea is giving something to, maybe praise or honor, to the egerthenti from the dead. So how might I translate that? To the one who was raised from the dead? Yeah, you could use something like to the one and then a relative clause, who was raised from the dead. Or to him who was raised from the dead. Or you may even say to the raised from the dead one. Or to the, if it's masculine, right? Again, we don't have enough context to know whether it's masculine or neuter, but surely it's referring to a person being raised from the dead, so probably masculine. So you could say maybe to the man raised from the dead would be another way to do it if you wanted to really specify that it's a male person, like you're dealing with a literal man. So that would be the way to do that, I would say. So substantival use. Okay? All right. Good. If I had, just to clarify one thing, if I had immediately following egerthenti something like huio, okay, to eknekron egerthenti huio, then I would have a noun that the participle matches in case, gender, or number. Then it wouldn't be substantival, it would be attributive, right? And it would be to the raised son. What kind of son, right? Attributives tell you what kind of noun you're dealing with. To the raised up son. And then eknekron is still modifying raised. So this would sound like good German, to the raised up from the dead son. But it's not good English. So I'd want to then resort to a relative clause to do it. To the son who was raised from the dead. Maybe something like that. Okay? So there you go. Let me get rid of that, though. We don't want to confuse anyone.